Chosen ones, God is weeping. He has tried to warn you. Don't ignore this. There is something deeply urgent moving through this moment. Something soft yet powerful that refuses to stay hidden any longer. And if your heart feels even the slightest pull while reading these words, it is not by accident, because heaven itself is reaching toward you in a way that is rare and deeply personal, carrying a tenderness that cannot be explained with logic, but only felt within the quiet corners of your soul, where God often speaks without noise, without pressure, but with a love that trembles with concern. If you feel that gentle stirring inside, type 1010 to declare that you are open to receive what God is placing before you right now. God is not distant in this moment, and He is not silent because He does not care, but His heart is heavy in a way that only love can make it heavy, and He has been trying to reach you through whispers, through moments of stillness, through things that did not make sense at first, but carried a quiet warning beneath them. And all of it has come from a place of deep protection rather than fear, because He sees what you cannot yet see and feels what you have not yet understood. There is a reason this feeling is rising now, and it is not meant to frighten you, but to awaken something that has been gently asleep within you for too long, something that once recognized His voice clearly, but became quiet under the noise of life, the weight of distractions, and the tiredness that settles in when hope feels delayed. And yet God has never stepped away even for a moment, because His love does not know how to leave. Take a second to pause and gently show your support by liking this video and subscribing to this channel, because this simple action helps this message reach someone else who may be silently needing this exact moment of comfort and direction. God has been sending signs, not in loud or overwhelming ways, but in small and meaningful patterns that have crossed your path more than once. In moments where something inside you said to slow down, to look again, to reconsider a choice, or to step away from something that did not feel right, even when it seemed good on the surface. And those quiet nudges were not random thoughts, but careful guidance shaped by a love that sees further than human understanding ever could. There have been times when you felt an unexplainable discomfort, a soft unease that sat quietly in your chest without clear reason, and instead of being something to ignore, it was actually one of the most honest ways God was trying to protect you from something that did not align with the path meant for your life. And even though it may have felt confusing or unnecessary at the time, it carried truth within it that only becomes clear when you look back with understanding. God is weeping, not because He is weak, but because His love is so strong that it feels every step you take away from what is meant for you. And His heart moves with compassion when He sees you walking towards something that could bring you pain, even when your intentions are pure and your hopes are sincere, because He knows that not everything that looks right will lead to peace. If your heart is beginning to soften and recognize this truth in a deeper way, type 1111 to show that you trust in God's guidance, even when it feels quiet and gentle. There is no anger in His voice, no harshness in His presence, only a deep longing for you to listen before something becomes harder than it needs to be. And His warnings are never meant to control you, but to guide you gently back into alignment with a life that carries peace, purpose, and protection that cannot be replaced by anything else. Even in moments when you felt alone, when it seemed like no one understood the quiet battles you were facing inside, God was there, watching over you with a patience that never runs out, waiting for the moment when your heart would become still enough to hear Him again clearly, not through noise or pressure, but through that calm and steady feeling that settles within you when truth is near. There is something beautiful about the way God continues to reach out, even after being ignored, even after being set aside, because his love does not depend on perfection or constant attention, and he does not turn away when you struggle to listen, but instead comes closer in ways that are softer, quieter, and more persistent, hoping that one of those moments will finally touch your heart deeply enough to pause and receive what he has been trying to give. This is not about fear or loss, but about restoration, about returning to a place where your spirit feels safe again, where your decisions are not driven by pressure or confusion, but guided by a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are being led with care and intention by a love that cannot fail you. God is not asking for grand gestures or complicated steps, but simply for your attention, for a moment of stillness where you allow his presence to reach you without resistance, without doubt, and without the need to understand everything immediately, because sometimes the most powerful changes begin with something as simple as listening. There is a path ahead that holds peace in ways you have not yet experienced, but reaching it requires a willingness to notice the signs that have already been placed before you, the gentle warnings that were never meant to stop you from living, but to guide you toward living fully in a way that protects your heart and strengthens your spirit. He has not stopped speaking, and he has not stopped guiding, but there were times when your heart was too burdened, too tired, or too distracted to fully receive what he was trying to show you. And even then, his love did not pull away or grow distant, because he does not know how to give up on you. A former government researcher exposed a powerful 7-second money ritual that is now spreading rapidly online. According to leaked CIA files, this brainwave technique may help unlock a hidden part of the mind connected to wealth, opportunity, and financial success. 4 neuroscience labs reportedly confirmed the results. Since then, people struggling with debt claim they have started attracting money, better careers, expensive homes, luxury travel, and financial freedom. This secret is gaining attention fast and may not stay public for long. Click the description and comments now to see the full method before it disappears. There have been seasons where you kept moving forward, believing that you were doing everything right, trusting your instincts, following what felt reasonable and safe. And yet deep inside there was always a small voice, a soft awareness that something was not fully aligned, something that did not sit peacefully within your spirit, no matter how much you tried to convince yourself otherwise. That feeling was never meant to confuse you, and it was never there to hold you back from living, but it was a form of protection, a quiet signal from God, trying to guide you away from something that would not bring the peace you deserve. God has seen every step you have taken, every decision made with hope in your heart, every moment where you chose to trust, even when things felt uncertain, and he honors that faith more than you realize. Yet his love is also honest, and it does not ignore the moments where a different path would have been safer, where a different choice would have protected your heart from pain that did not need to be experienced. This is not something he brings to you with judgment or disappointment, but with a deep compassion that longs to restore what was lost and protect what still remains within you. There is something sacred about the way God communicates, because he does not force his voice upon you or overwhelm your thoughts, but instead chooses to speak in ways that require your attention, your stillness, and your willingness to listen beyond the noise of everything else that competes for your focus. He uses feelings that are gentle but persistent, moments that seem small but carry deeper meaning, and situations that repeat themselves until the message becomes clear enough to recognize without doubt. You may begin to notice that certain things no longer feel right the way they once did, that places, conversations, or even thoughts that once felt normal now bring a sense of discomfort that cannot be ignored. And this is not a sign of something being wrong with you, but rather a sign that something within you is becoming more aware, more sensitive to truth, and more aligned with the guidance that God has been placing within your spirit all along. There is also a deep kindness in the way God allows you to come to understanding at your own pace, because He knows that the heart cannot be rushed into clarity, and He does not expect immediate perfection or instant change, but simply a willingness to notice, to pause, and to allow His presence to guide you gently without resistance. He understands the weight of everything you have carried, the confusion you have faced, and the effort it has taken just to keep moving forward, and none of that is ignored or dismissed in His eyes. At times, the path ahead may seem unclear, not because there is no direction, but because the next step requires trust more than certainty, and trust can feel difficult when past experiences have left marks on your heart that are still healing. Yet, even in those moments, God is not asking you to take large or overwhelming leaps, but to simply follow the quiet peace that He places within you, one step at a time, knowing that each step guided by Him leads to something better than anything forced by fear or pressure. There have been warnings that came softly, moments where something felt off even when everything looked fine, and those moments were not meant to create doubt, but to create awareness, to gently guide you toward a deeper understanding of what is right for you and what is not. And while it may be tempting to overlook those feelings, they carry a truth that becomes clearer when you give yourself the space to truly listen. God's love is not distant or abstract, but deeply personal, and it moves with an awareness of your life that is far greater than anything you can see from your current perspective, and that is why His guidance often feels different from your own thoughts, because it is not shaped by fear, urgency, or pressure, but by a steady and calm knowing that leads you toward peace even when the path itself feels unfamiliar. There is something powerful about recognizing that you are not alone in this journey, that every step you take is seen, every feeling you experience is understood, and every moment of uncertainty is met with a presence that does not waver or disappear, no matter how far you feel you have drifted. God's connection to you is not fragile or conditional, and it does not break when you struggle or hesitate, but remains steady, waiting for you to turn your attention back toward Him in a way that feels natural and sincere. Sometimes, the hardest part is not hearing God's voice, but trusting it when it asks you to let go of something you once believed was right for you, because letting go can feel like loss even when it is actually protection, and moving forward can feel uncertain even when it leads to something better. Yet God does not guide you into emptiness, and He does not take away without purpose, but always moves you towards something that carries more peace, more truth, and more alignment with who you are meant to become. There is a quiet strength growing within you, even now, as you begin to recognize the difference between what feels right on the surface and what feels right within your spirit. And this strength is not loud or forceful, but steady and grounded, allowing you to make choices that reflect truth rather than fear or pressure. It is a strength that comes from being guided, from being seen, and from being loved in a way that does not change based on your circumstances. God is not weeping because you have failed, but because His love for you is so deep that it feels every moment where you move away from what is meant to protect you, and His desire is not to bring you into guilt or regret, but to gently guide you back into a place where your life feels whole again, where your heart feels safe, and where your path carries a sense of peace that cannot be taken away. Have you noticed how some people seem to attract wealth effortlessly? A leaked CIA document may finally explain why. Scientists studying brainwaves uncovered a simple 7-second ritual believed to activate a powerful abundance response inside the mind. Backed by 4 neuroscience labs, this at-home technique is helping people move from financial struggle to dream lifestyles filled with money, success, travel, and peace of mind. The most unbelievable part is how easy it is to do. But this information could be removed without warning. Click the link in the description and comments now before it is gone forever. Even now, there is a quiet invitation being placed before you, not with urgency that pressures, but with a calm that reassures, inviting you to listen again, to trust again, and to allow God's guidance to become something you recognize and follow with confidence, knowing that it leads you toward a life that is not only safe, but deeply fulfilling in ways that go beyond anything you have experienced before. This moment is not the end of something, but the beginning of a deeper connection, a clearer understanding, and a stronger alignment with the path that was always meant for you. And as you continue forward, you will begin to see how every gentle warning, every quiet nudge, and every moment of awareness was part of a greater love that never stopped reaching for you, even when you could not fully see it. There comes a time when everything begins to feel clearer, not because the world suddenly changes around you, but because something within you finally becomes still enough to understand what has been quietly unfolding all along. And this kind of clarity does not arrive with noise or force, but with a calm certainty that settles deep in your spirit and begins to guide your thoughts, your choices, and even your emotions in a way that feels peaceful rather than overwhelming. It is in this space that God's voice becomes easier to recognize, not as something distant or unfamiliar, but as something that has always been there, waiting patiently for you to notice it without distraction. You may begin to realize that certain moments in your past now make more sense than they ever did before. Moments where things did not work out the way you had hoped, where doors quietly closed without explanation, or where something you wanted deeply slipped away despite your efforts to hold on to it. At the time, those experiences may have felt confusing or even painful, but now, as your heart opens to a deeper understanding, you can start to see how each of those moments carried a form of protection that you could not recognize back then. God was present in those moments, not as someone taking something away from you, but as someone gently redirecting your path, guiding you away from outcomes that would not have brought you the peace or fulfillment you truly deserve. His guidance was not always easy to accept, especially when it came in the form of loss or disappointment, but it was always rooted in a love that sees far beyond what your current perspective could understand at the time. There is a quiet wisdom that begins to grow within you as you reflect on these experiences, a realization that not everything that feels good in the moment is meant to stay, and not everything that leaves your life is a loss in the way it first appears. Some things are removed because they cannot walk with you into the life that God is preparing for you, and holding on to them would only make your journey heavier and more complicated than it needs to be. This understanding does not come all at once, and it does not demand that you forget what you have felt or pretend that the past did not affect you, but it gently shifts the way you see your story, allowing you to recognize that even the difficult moments carried a purpose that was shaped by care rather than neglect. It allows you to release some of the confusion and replace it with a quiet trust that what is meant for you will not require you to ignore your inner peace in order to keep it. As this awareness grows, you may also begin to notice a change in the way you respond to situations around you, a sense of calm that replaces the urgency you once felt, a patience that allows you to step back rather than react immediately, and a deeper connection to your own spirit that helps you recognize when something is right and when something is not. This is not something that comes from your own strength alone, but from allowing God's presence to guide you in a way that feels natural and steady. There is also a gentle healing taking place within you, even if you do not fully realize it yet. A healing that does not erase your past but softens the weight it carries, allowing you to move forward without being held back by what once caused you pain. This healing is not rushed or forced, but unfolds gradually as you continue to listen, to trust, and to align yourself with the quiet guidance that has always been present within you. God understands that healing takes time, and He does not expect you to move forward without acknowledging what you have been through, but He also does not want you to remain in a place where your past defines your future. His desire is to bring you into a space where you can carry your experiences without being controlled by them, where you can remember without being overwhelmed, and where you can grow without fear holding you back. There is something deeply comforting about knowing that you are not expected to have everything figured out, that you are allowed to take each step as it comes, guided by a presence that understands you completely and cares for you in ways that go beyond what you can see. God is not measuring your progress or judging your pace, but walking with you, offering guidance that meets you exactly where you are. As you continue to move forward, there will be moments where the path feels uncertain again, where clarity fades and questions arise within you. But these moments are not a sign that you have lost your way, but a natural part of growth, a reminder that trust is not built in a single moment, but strengthened over time through experience and connection. In these moments, the most important thing is not to force answers or rush decisions, but to return to that quiet place within you, where God's presence can be felt most clearly. There is a steady reassurance that comes from knowing that even when you feel uncertain, you are not alone, that even when the path ahead is not fully visible, you are still being guided with care and intention. This reassurance does not remove all difficulty or uncertainty, but it provides a foundation that allows you to move forward without fear, taking control of your decisions. This may sound unbelievable, but thousands of people are talking about a secret 7-second ritual connected to leaked CIA research. The method is designed to shift your brain into a frequency linked to wealth, abundance, and opportunity. People who once lived paycheck to paycheck claim they are now seeing dramatic financial changes, from unexpected money to luxury purchases and dream vacations. 4 neuroscience labs reportedly tested the technique and confirmed its powerful mental effects. You were guided to this for a reason, but this page may not stay online much longer. Click the link in the description and comments now, before the secret disappears. God's weeping is not a sign of sadness alone, but of deep love that feels every part of your journey, every moment where you struggled, every time you felt lost, and every step where you moved forward despite uncertainty. His heart is connected to yours in a way that cannot be broken, and His desire is not to see you burdened or confused, but to see you walk in a life that feels aligned, peaceful, and filled with a sense of purpose that is true to who you are. There is still more ahead for you, more understanding, more healing, and more clarity that will continue to unfold as you remain open to His guidance, and each step you take with awareness brings you closer to a life that reflects the care and intention that has been placed within you from the very beginning. This journey is not about perfection or immediate transformation, but about growing into a deeper connection with the presence that has always been guiding you, even when you could not fully recognize it. God has been working in ways that did not always match your expectations, and because of that, it was easy to overlook His presence, yet He never stopped shaping your path with a steady and patient hand. There were times when you believed you had lost direction completely, when everything felt uncertain and your heart carried more questions than peace, and in those moments it seemed like silence surrounded you, as if heaven itself had stepped back. But that silence was never empty or distant. It was full of quiet work, full of unseen protection, and full of a love that was arranging things beyond your understanding. God was never absent, not even for a second, and even when you felt alone, His presence was closer than anything you could see or touch. You are beginning to recognize now that not every closed door was a rejection, and not every delay was meant to hold you back. But many of those moments were acts of mercy, guiding you away from places where your spirit would not have thrived, and leading you toward something that aligns more deeply with who you are meant to become. This realization may feel both comforting and emotional, because it asks you to look back at your journey with new eyes, to see not only what was lost, but also what was protected and what was quietly preserved for something better. There is a tenderness in the way God guides you, a gentleness that does not force you into understanding, but invites you into it, step by step, moment by moment, allowing your heart to adjust at a pace that feels safe and natural. He knows that sudden clarity can feel overwhelming, and so He reveals things gradually, giving you time to process, to heal, and to grow into the awareness that is unfolding within you. This is not a rushed transformation, but a steady unfolding that honors your journey and respects your heart. You may also begin to feel a stronger sense of discernment, a deeper ability to recognize what feels right and what does not based on appearances or external opinions, but based on a quiet knowing that rises within you without explanation. This discernment is a gift, something that grows stronger as you continue to listen and trust, and it becomes a guiding light that helps you move through life with greater clarity and confidence, even when situations are not fully understood. There is something powerful about learning to trust that inner knowing, because it connects you directly to the guidance that God has placed within you, and it allows you to make choices that are aligned with your true path, rather than being influenced by pressure, fear, or the expectations of others. This does not mean that every decision will feel easy, but it means that even in difficulty, there will be a sense of peace that reassures you that you are moving in the right direction. At times, you may feel a pull to step away from certain environments, conversations, or patterns that once felt familiar, and while this may feel uncomfortable at first, it is often a sign that you are outgrowing what no longer serves your spirit. Growth does not always feel gentle in the moment, and it can come with a sense of loss or uncertainty. But it also carries the promise of something better, something that aligns more deeply with the peace and purpose that God has prepared for you. God's weeping comes from a place of deep care, a reflection of how much He desires for you to walk in a life that is free from unnecessary pain and confusion, and while He allows you the freedom to choose your path, His heart longs to guide you toward what will bring you true peace. His warnings are not meant to control you, but to protect you, to gently steer you away from what could harm you and toward what will strengthen and uplift you. There is also a quiet strength forming within you, a resilience that has been built through every experience you have faced, every challenge you have endured, and every moment where you chose to keep moving forward despite uncertainty. This strength is not something that needs to be proven or displayed, but something that supports you from within, giving you the ability to stand firm in your truth and trust the path that is unfolding before you. You are not the same person you were before, even if the changes feel subtle or difficult to describe, and this transformation is not something that happened by accident, but something that has been carefully guided and shaped by the presence of God in your life. Every moment of awareness, every realization, and every shift in perspective is part of a greater process that is leading you toward a deeper understanding of who you are and where you are meant to go. There may still be moments where doubt tries to return, where old patterns of thinking attempt to pull you back into confusion, but these moments do not define your journey, and they do not erase the progress you have made. They are simply reminders of where you have been, and they give you the opportunity to choose differently, to respond with the awareness and clarity that you have gained. A newly revealed 7-second brainwave method, backed by neuroscience and once hidden in classified documents, is helping thousands activate their brain's wealth setting. People refer to it as the money magnet sound because of how quickly it appears to attract abundance. Click the link in the description and comments below to awaken the prosperity already within you. God is still with you in every step, still guiding, still protecting, and still loving you with a depth that cannot be measured. And as you continue to move forward, you will begin to see more clearly how every part of your journey has been connected, how every moment has contributed to the growth and understanding that you now carry within you. There is something beautiful ahead, something that reflects the peace and alignment that you have been moving toward. And while it may not be fully visible yet, it is already taking shape in ways that you cannot yet see. God's work is not limited to what is visible in the moment, and much of what He prepares is done quietly, behind the scenes, until the right time arrives for it to be revealed. There were times when you wondered if anything was truly changing, when progress felt slow or even invisible, and it was easy to feel discouraged in those moments. Yet those were often the times when the most important work was being done within you. God was not delaying your growth, and He was not holding you back, but preparing you in a way that would allow you to stand strong when the next season begins to unfold. There is a peace that starts to settle in when you stop trying to control everything and begin to trust the process that God has placed before you. And this peace does not mean that everything around you is perfect, but that something within you has found a place of rest that is not easily shaken by circumstances. It is a quiet confidence that grows stronger with time, reminding you that you are not walking this path alone and that every step is being guided with care. You may also notice that your perspective on certain people and situations begins to change. Not because you are becoming distant or cold, but because you are seeing things more clearly, without the layers of confusion that once made everything feel uncertain. This clarity allows you to respond with wisdom rather than reaction, to step back when needed, and to move forward when it feels right, without being pulled in different directions by emotions that once felt overwhelming. God's guidance often brings simplicity, not complication, and as you continue to align with His presence, you will find that decisions become less about overthinking and more about recognizing what brings peace and what does not. This does not mean that every choice will be easy, but it means that there will be a steady sense of direction that helps you move forward without fear taking control. There is also a deeper sense of purpose beginning to take shape within you, even if it is not fully clear yet, a feeling that your life is moving towards something meaningful, something that reflects who you are at your core, rather than what others expect you to be. This purpose is not something you need to chase or force into existence, but something that unfolds naturally as you continue to walk in alignment with God's guidance. At times, you may feel moments of hesitation, moments where the old patterns try to return and pull you back into familiar ways of thinking, but these moments are not a sign that you are losing progress, but a reminder of how far you have come, and an opportunity to choose differently with the awareness you now carry. Growth is not always a straight path, and it allows space for reflection, adjustment, and continued learning. God is still watching over you with the same care, the same love, and the same patience that has been present from the very beginning, and nothing about His presence has changed, even if your awareness of it has grown. He continues to guide you in ways that are gentle yet powerful, shaping your path with an understanding that goes far beyond what you can currently see. There is something deeply comforting about knowing that you are being led, that your life is not a series of random events, but a journey that is unfolding with intention and care, even when parts of it feel uncertain or unclear. This comfort does not remove all challenges, but it gives you the strength to face them with a sense of peace that remains steady beneath the surface. You are learning to listen in a new way, not just with your thoughts, but with your spirit, recognizing the difference between what is driven by fear and what is guided by truth, and this ability will continue to grow stronger as you remain open and attentive. It is a gift that will support you in every area of your life, helping you navigate situations with clarity and confidence. A 7-second brainwave practice, once reserved for select circles and concealed in classified files, has now been made public, and many describe it as the 30-second miracle. Experts say it awakens a dormant brain center connected to wealth and blessings. Click the link in the description and comments below to see why so many people are talking about it right now. God's weeping has always come from a place of deep love, not sorrow without hope, but compassion that longs to see you safe, whole, and aligned with the life that was meant for you. His heart moves with yours, and every step you take toward truth brings a quiet joy that cannot be seen but is deeply felt.